are a handful of Florida towns where the heat quietly loses its grip, where the water runs cold in the middle of the summer, the breeze never stops, and the shade is older than the state itself. Today, we are counting down 10 of them, ranked from the ones that just take the edge off, all the way up to the single town where you can stand in 72-degree water on the hottest day of the year. One of these sits on real hills. One hides under live oaks so old, the whole street stays cool at noon. And the number one town is where people go when they have simply decided they're done sweating. Most of these you have never heard of, and one of them might be exactly where you belong. Number 10, Fernandina Beach. Up in the northeastern corner of Florida, tucked onto Amelia Island so close to the Georgia line that locals drive to Savannah for dinner. Fernandina gets something most of the state does not: a steady Atlantic sea breeze most afternoons. Summer highs here sit in the upper 80s, a few degrees off the inland cities baking to the south. And the ocean wind makes it feel cooler still. 13,000 people, a 50-block historic district of Victorian storefronts and shrimp docks, and the oldest continuously operating bar in Florida. The catch is the price. The median home now hovers around $630,000, because everyone learns the same thing about this island. It is gorgeous, and there is not much of it. If your budget stretches, there's no better breeze in the state. If it does not, good news. Every town after this gets cheaper and somehow cooler. Number 9, Sebring. Down in the middle of the state sits a town built on a ridge and ringed by more than 100 lakes. Summer highs run around 91, but a little lift on the Lake Wales Ridge means the breeze off all that open water actually reaches you. 11,000 people, a median home around $260,000, and a downtown laid out as a perfect circle, modeled on an ancient Egyptian city of the sun. 100 lakes means swimming and evening boat rides are just how you cool down after work. Highlands Hammock State Park sits right outside town with 1,000-year-old cypress you can walk under in deep shade. On the ridge, near the water, the heat becomes livable. Number 8, Mechanipe. 650 people, 4 blocks of downtown, 1 stoplight, and the oldest inland town in Florida. Founded in 1821, here is the heat trick nobody mentions: shade. Mechanipe's main street runs under live oaks so ancient and heavy with Spanish moss that the canopy closes overhead like a green roof. On a day the open road bakes at 91, it can feel like the low 80s under those trees, because old-growth canopy is the cheapest air conditioning nature makes. Just south, Payne's Prairie stretches out with wild bison and wild horses roaming unfenced, visible to the road. Gainesville and a major hospital sit 15 minutes north. If you can find a house for sale, and that is a real if, buy it, because people do not leave the shade. But if it is real water you want, not just shade, the next town is where this list starts to get wet. Number 7, Apalachicola. Out on the Panhandle, about 80 miles southwest of Tallahassee, sits a 2,000-person oyster town on what locals call the Forgotten Coast. Summer highs here stay in the high 80s, held down by a near-constant breeze off the bay that rolls down brick streets lined with 1800s warehouses. The median home runs about $247,000. For most of a century, this bay produced 90% of Florida's oysters, until the fishery collapsed and the state shut it down in 2020. This year, a limited harvest reopened, and the town is coming back with a careful kind of hope. Beautiful, breezy, and honest about its hard years. And if you're already picturing yourself on one of these porches, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button, because we find the best towns to actually live in across America every single week. And the top half of this list is where the heat really starts to break. Number 6, Weewahitchka. Around 2,000 people in the Gulf County Panhandle, a median home near $213,000, and 2 spring-fed lakes on the edge of town. The air still climbs into the low 90s in summer, but those spring lakes hold near 70, and the whole town is built to spend the hot months inside them. This is honey country too, home to most of the world's real Tupelo honey. Just east, the Dead Lakes stretch for miles, a drowned cypress forest of gray skeletons rising out of black water, famous among bass fishermen for the giant fish hiding in those roots. 20 minutes away, Port St. Joe puts you on some of the least crowded golf beaches in the state. Far north, spring-cooled and priced like Florida used to be. Number 5. Steinhatchee. Fewer than 1,000 people where the Steinhatchee River meets the Gulf in the Big Bend. The curve of coast where the tourist machine simply stops. Land temperatures still hit around 90 in the summer, but the relief here is double. A steady sea breeze off the Gulf and a spring-fed river running in the low 70s straight through town. A few miles upstream, Steinhatchee Falls pours over a limestone ledge, a real waterfall in a state not supposed to have them. And people swim in that cold-moving water all summer. From mid-June through Labor Day, this is one of the only places in Florida where you can wade the grass flats and pick scallops off the bottom by hand. Bring an insurance agent before a realtor. This coast takes storms. But if a cool river out your back door sounds good, wait until you see how far north the next town sits. Number 4. Defuniak Springs. Now we're getting seriously north, closer to the Alabama line than to central Florida. Daytime highs still reach the low 90s, but this far north, the nights actually cool into the low 70s. Sometimes the peninsula never does, so the mornings feel like relief. In the center of town is Lake Defuniak, a spring-fed lake so perfectly round that geographers argue it is one of only 2 natural circular lakes on Earth, and the other is also in Florida. Around it loops a ring of 200 historic homes and the oldest public library in the state, still lending from its 1886 building. Half an hour up the road stands Britton Hill, the highest point in all of Florida. Median homes go for around $220,000. And 35 minutes south sit the million-dollar beaches of 30A. Cooler nights, a round spring lake for a front yard, and a price that still makes sense. Number 3. Mount Dora. Here is the town that breaks Florida's biggest rule. It has hills. Real ones. Mount Dora sits 184 feet above sea level on a genuine plateau above the Harris Chain of lakes, which by Florida standards is practically alpine. And listen, I'll be honest, summer highs still run around 91 because 184 feet does not drop the temperature much. What it does is move the air. Perched on that ridge over the water, the lake breeze reaches the streets, and the whole town feels like someone lifted a small New England village and set it in Orange County. 18,000 people, a walkable downtown, the oldest continuously running hotel in Florida from 1883, and Orlando's airport 45 minutes away. Homes run around $430,000 because this is one of the most desirable small towns in the state. You will not want to leave. Number 2. Cedar Key. A cluster of tiny islands off Florida's nature coast, connected to the mainland by 4 miles of causeway, and almost completely surrounded by water. Which is exactly why it stays cool. Summer highs sit in the high 80s. And with the Gulf wrapped all the way around you, the sea breeze never really stops, giving Cedar Key a near-constant wind the inland cities would kill for. Around 800 people, a median home near $350,000, no chain restaurants, no condo towers, just seafood shacks, art galleries, and clam farmers. More than half the town is over 65, here to escape the exhausting version of Florida. The honest warning, this inland has taken record storm surges 2 years running. So you talk to an insurance agent before a realtor, no exceptions. But for a place that feels like Florida before Florida got loud, wrapped in cool Gulf wind, nothing else comes close. Except one. Number 1, Crystal River. This is the answer the whole video has been building toward. The one town where you beat the Florida heat completely, on the hottest day of the year, in a way nowhere else on this list can touch. The air still climbs into the low 90s anyway, but the temperature that matters here is the water. Because Crystal River sits on Kings Bay, and Kings Bay is fed by more than 70 freshwater springs pouring out of the aquifer at a constant 72 degrees. Not 72 in the morning, 72 in winter, 72 in summer, 72 forever. Because that is simply the temperature of the earth down there. On the worst afternoon of the year, you can walk to the water, slip in, and feel genuinely cold. It is also the only place in the United States where it's legal to swim beside wild manatees, hundreds of them, in water that never changes. 3,400 people, a median home around $300,000, 90 minutes to Tampa. The trade-offs are real: storm flooding, a tourism-heavy job market, a nuclear plant up the coast. But if your single greatest enemy is Florida heat, this is the town that defeats it every single day, for free. This is how you earn number 1. So there they are, 10 Florida towns where the heat finally meets its match. From the sea breeze of Amelia Island at the top of the state, down to the 72-degree spring of Crystal River. And notice the pattern. The places that stay cool all share the same 3 things: moving water, a steady breeze, or old trees. And the farther north you go, the more the summer lets up. The rest of Florida will keep selling you sunshine and quietly leave out the part where you cannot breathe by noon. So do the honest thing before you move anywhere on this list. Go visit at the peak of summer, not in winter. Winter lies to you. The hottest weeks tell the truth about the heat, the humidity, and whether you can live there. If even one of these towns just landed on your list, tell me your favorite in the comments. And hit subscribe before you go, because I cover the best and worst places to live in America every single week. Curious where else you can escape the heat? Click the video on your screen for our coolest towns in the Carolinas and Tennessee. I will see you there.